inject something into their body that they can't uninject, knowing damn well that it doesn't work the way you're selling it as, knowingly lying about that, and getting people to take this thing after you've gotten the government to shield these pharmaceutical companies from liability so that they can rake in tens of billions of dollars in profits. I'm sorry, someone needs to be prosecuted for that. Like, there is a level where you're like, no, we can't just move on from this. You can't just come on Piers Morgan's show and get to go, yeah, we did it all wrong. Like, what?
This is what Bobby Kenney's fighting against, Dr. Offit. As you know, you were the chair at the Children's Hospital, the Merck chair. It was like a NASCAR driver wearing their sponsors. Merck paid your $1.5 million salary.
The entire sales pitch from Fauci and Biden and Rachel Maddow and the entire regime was that you will not get COVID if you get this, right? Rachel Maddow, it stops with you.
I definitely don't think that after this interview that you're about to watch, Calley Means will ever be invited back on CNN. He was ready for a debate, but I don't think Pamela Brown and Paul Offit, who should be in jail, were ready for the storm that was about to happen. But before that, I have a great clip of Dave Smith just talking and going off about vaccines. This was from his show yesterday. Let's get it.
Okay, so you funded this thing, created it, had such substandard like conditions that the thing gets out. You then all lie through your teeth as you're locking down the world in response to the thing that you made without ever admitting that you made it, okay? And then after all of that, you come up with this vaccine and lie through your fucking teeth to get people to inject something into their body that they can't uninject, knowing damn well that it doesn't work the way you're selling it as, knowingly lying about that, and getting people to take this thing after you've gotten the government to shield these pharmaceutical companies from liability so that they can rake in tens of billions of dollars in profits. I'm sorry, someone needs to be prosecuted for that. Like, there is a level where you're like, no, we can't just move on from this. You can't just come on Piers Morgan's show and get to go, yeah, we did it all wrong. Like, what? And then on the intelligence side, I mean, look, what can I even say about this? The country, and everyone knows this is true, right? The country has been lied into wars. They have instituted torture. They've lied to the president of the United States. They've tried to frame the president of the United States for treason when they didn't like what he might potentially do. And they've blatantly interfered in U.S. presidential elections. Someone's got to go to jail for that. I don't think this is too unreasonable to go, okay, so like, what's this new Trump administration really made of? We got these guys, Bobby Kennedy, Tulsi Gabbard, people who have are on record calling out these crimes for many years, who are now in charge of the health department and the intelligence agencies. I don't think it's too much to ask for that. Like, I want these crimes to be exposed. And when these crimes are exposed, the people, these are like amongst the gravest crimes ever committed by the US government against the American people. And the same government that I'm talking about here will throw you in a cage for decades if you were to bring a gun across state lines when you're not allowed to have it in the other state. They'll throw people in cages for decades over having the wrong plant or distributing the wrong plant. They'll throw people in jail for all types of minor infractions. This is why we have the biggest prison population in the world, both in terms of raw numbers and percentage of population. Because our government will throw people in a cage. You break the law, you get thrown in jail. Like, okay, well, if we're going to do that, why exactly should these people who have committed the gravest crimes against humanity, why should they not be prosecuted for this? I'm sorry, this shit is just infuriating to me.
Of course somebody should go to jail for this. Nobody will. Dr. Fauci should be in jail. A lot of those people should be in jail. Look at all of the people who lost their jobs during COVID. I don't mean because of the lockdowns, although that was horrible as well. That didn't help anything. But the men and women in the military, in the police force, firemen, nurses, military people, pilots who lost their job because they wouldn't take this new experimental jab that turns out doesn't work. And listen, every medicine, every vaccine, anything medical that's ever been recalled was once approved to go to market. So I'm sorry if people were skeptical into taking this thing. But my brother, who's also unvaccinated, ended up losing his job at the airline. He was a pilot. Now, thankfully, he ended up flying commercial for FedEx, which turned out to be even more money, and he likes it more there. But that's not the point. Somebody should pay for this. People lost years of their lives, 2 years of their lives. Some people died, and I don't mean because of COVID, but look at all the people that were in retirement homes that couldn't see their family, that just died because they were old or of whatever complications they had, cancer, and they couldn't see their loved ones. Unbelievable. Now let's get to Calley means. Absolutely cooking Pamela Brown and Paul Offit on the CNN panel.
Trust in public health? No, it's the public health leaders themselves. It's people defending with the record that's happening to health at HHS why cuts are bad. Of course we should make cuts. Of course the personnel should be changed. What's causing distrust in public health authorities is conflict of interest, like Dr. Offit taking millions of dollars from pharmaceutical makers like Merck while approving and recommending pharmaceuticals on ACIP committees. It's the fact that Dr. Offit's saying that science is always settled when he himself has approved vaccines that have been recalled for causing organ failure for kids. And it's the fact that Dr. Offit is talking about measles, which is important. And I want to be clear, Pamela, I don't want to get this out. It's important. But there were 300 deaths from measles a year before the invention of the vaccine. We have 38% of children right now having prediabetes. Bobby is focused on that. He's focused on reorganizing the department. And that's what we should be talked about, not this distraction. Pamela, with respect, why aren't you asking me about the fact that 50% of teens have obesity? Why aren't there are breathless
I have other
segments
questions
being
for
run
you,
on
but we're
CNN
talking
Climate
about this.
Day after day after day, Pamela. It's breathless coverage of 5 measles cases. Why aren't we asking why 16% of COVID deaths worldwide were Americans when we're only 4% of the world population? Because the CDC said our immune system. No, it is related, Pamela, and let me say why. Because the entire coverage of Bobby Kennedy is around measles. The Democrats said the word measles 25 times in the first hearing and said the words obesity, diabetes, and chronic disease 0 times. The HHS priority document under President Biden said the word equity 25 times, said the word vaccines countless times, did not say the word obesity or diabetes. There is a problem right now because this is not zero. This is zero sum. We are focused on a very small subset that's important. We need good infectious disease management. Bobby Kennedy, Dr. Offit is not correct. Bobby Kennedy has said one thing about vaccines and one thing only, that they should be studied like any other product. Dr. Offit on the ACIP committee has recommended vaccines that have ended up being recalled for causing mass issues to kids. Bobby Kennedy has written multiple books, not about being anti-vax, but about having good science. And Dr. Offit is calling him anti-vaccine for literally just saying we need studies. Bobby Kennedy is not concerned with measles. He wants good policies with measles. He wants to attack the 92% of deaths in the United States, which is chronic conditions.
I think it is fair to say, given his history and his past remarks, though, that he is, at the very least, a vaccine skeptic. All right? A vaccine skeptic is fair to say.
But he's honestly, a pro-science advocate.
Okay, and again, Dr. Offit, I want you to respond to some of those claims. And Calley, look, we can talk about all of this, and I do want to talk about obesity. So don't make a claim that I'm not asking about important things, because I've covered that on this show. I've covered the movement about what they're trying to do with Kellogg's and trying to take food coloring out of Kellogg's. I've actually been on the forefront of covering a lot of these issues. So please don't make that claim. I'm not asking the right questions.
I will say he gave a powerful speech about these issues. This is what Bobby Kennedy's fighting against, Dr. Offit. As you know, you were the chair at the Children's Hospital, the Merck chair. It was like a NASCAR driver wearing their sponsors. Merck paid your $1.5 million salary. And this is what Bobby's saying, is that fundamentally, pharma can create good innovations, but they're foundationally incentivized for children to be sick. Pharma doesn't make money when children are healthy. The hospitals don't make money when the beds are empty. Chronic disease, just as a demonstrable statement of economic fact, is a great economic invention for the healthcare industry, which demonstrably makes money when patients are sick. And that's an incentive Bobby Kennedy is going hard after. I'm in Florida. I'm in a state senator's office right now. I'm actually lobbying for these state SNAP bills, which Bobby is really supporting, to get soda off of SNAP. I think the problem is that the public health community, the Merck chairs of pediatricians, I mean, that is just insane. Merck does not have children's interests at heart. Merck itself has settled billions of dollars in criminal penalties for misleading and falsifying data in the past 10 years. And
by the way, I should, for transparency, you used to be a pharmaceutical rep, right, Calley?
No. I was about 13 years ago. Was a lobbyist, which included.
So
the
you
food
were a
and
lobbyist for
pharmaceuticals.
Okay.
Calling that out.
Right. Really quick, we do have to go. But Dr. Offit, I have to have you respond to his claims about Merck and your ties.
Sure. What he does is what RFK Jr. does, which is what all personal injury lawyer types do, which is when the data aren't on their side, then they attack the person. I'm not Bobby Kennedy Jr.
Hold on, Calley. Let him talk. Calley, please.
I
want
receive not, I don't receive okay, I do not have a conflict of interest. The Merck chair is defined by Penn, and Penn, there is no quid pro quo to having an endowed chair, as anybody who receives an endowed chair would know. Secondly, it's like, because there aren't the data on their side regarding vaccines, they do what all personal injury lawyer types do, which is attack the witness. I'm not RFK Jr.'s problem. The science that has continually shown he's wrong about vaccines.
That's the
problem.
All right. Thank you both for coming on. Again, okay, Calley, I let you say your piece. Dr. Offit, I let you also respond. And I appreciate you coming on for this spirited discussion, shall we say? Thank you for joining us.
Unbelievable, right? Paul Offit, somebody who's on record saying that, yeah, the antibodies of having COVID would have been better than the vaccine. This is before the vaccine went to the market. This guy's on record for this, but yet still pushed for the vaccine to be out there. Bringing something to market that quickly without testing it and cutting all the red tape. And then they demonized us for not trusting them and not wanting to take this vaccine. At this point, not trusting the mainstream media should be a given. I have another clip here I want to share with you of Dave Smith from his podcast, going off about the times that he was on the Joe Rogan show. Let's get it.
It's just amazing to watch, dude. It's amazing. It is the dictator getting out of his palace and joining the protesters and just being like, yeah, I know this is okay. I remember being on this little show called the Joe Rogan Experience, where me and Joe literally said that, well, I mean, really, he said it, which was what caused the storm, not me so much. But we were just talking about how, like, yeah, we don't really think that young, healthy kids need to take this vaccine. And I said, like, there's no way I'd give my kids this vaccine. And then Joe was like, yeah, like, if you're young and healthy, I would just recommend you be really healthy, exercise. And literally, the president of the United States of America ripped into us for having this conversation, said we were spreading dangerous misinformation. Fauci said it was dangerous misinformation. And now, quietly, years later, 4 years later, the chick who was the face of the COVID response goes, oh, yeah, no, that's what following the science looks like. It's like, hey, well, where were you at the time? Like, we could have used your backup. It would have really been nice to be able to point to the head of the coronavirus response and be like, look, even she's saying we're following the science here and you're not. And then it's just these years later. And by the way, Rob, one of the things that strikes me about that is there's nothing that she's saying here that's like new information has come out. She's saying at the time, this is what we all knew. Like, we knew that the mRNA was not designed to prevent infection. Really? Well, you didn't think it was necessary to speak up while that was the entire sales pitch of it. The entire sales pitch from Fauci and Biden and Rachel Maddow and the entire regime was that you will not get COVID if you get this, right? Rachel Maddow, it stops with you. And now you can't transmit it to the next person. This was their whole pitch. This was the pitch Fauci made as he went door to door trying to convince people in Baltimore to get the damn thing. It's just amazing to see. I'm sorry. This is like not good enough. And there should have been, and I'll confess I haven't seen the whole episode, but like, how is there a follow-up question to this, which is like, why didn't you say this at the time? How can anyone in the scientific community even complain about anything that's going on now? If you guys, it wasn't incumbent on you to all stand up and say this at the time, if this was obviously what the science was, that, it might make sense to get like the very, severely at-risk population vaccinated, but it doesn't make any sense to give this to kids, then why wasn't the entire scientific community saying that? Because what were they saying? The entire scientific community in lockstep was demonizing anybody who said that.
I love Dave Smith's show. He brings a moderate approach to stuff. Some people would call him a conservative. I am way more right than he is. I still love his show because I want different points of view. I'm always looking to have my mind changed. You get people's opinions, but this is how you learn. This is how you grow. I hope you enjoyed the video. Smash that thumbs up button for your boy if you did. Consider subscribing to the channel. Help it grow. Catch you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.